Hi, everyone. Welcome to Creatively Classes. I'm Sarah Kempa, also known as Aunt Sarah to both my niece and thousands on the internet. I'm so excited to be here with all of you today. I'm a cartoonist, and though unintentionally, much of my cartoons have focused around themes of anxiety, guilt, and existential dread. In addition to my Instagram account, my cartoons have appeared in the New Yorker, McSweeney's, and Buzzfeed, and I continue to look for other places to share them. I'm zooming in today from New York City. We've got a bit of a snowstorm going on outside. It's been my home for the past 6 years. I don't know if I will ever make it to that coveted New Yorker status, though, as I'm originally from Michigan and I'm quite Midwestern to the core, and I've got a pretty strong Midwest accent, I think. So I apologize if that gets in the way of anything today. But out of practicality, I studied engineering at University of Michigan, and like many others, I haven't used my degree a day since graduation. Today, though, in this session, we're going to focus on drawing your anxieties. So throughout today's session, we'll work through a few different activities that should provide you with some different tools you can use either in creating cartoons, journaling, writing, anything that you might use to process or translate some of your anxieties or feelings. These are cartoons I often use when I feel stuck, anxious, or I'm having trouble communicating how I feel. So I hope that they're helpful also for you. I think we'll walk through a few different cartoons that I have. I might have skipped over them a bit creatively here. But I made my first comic when I was 5 years old, and it's called Three Cats Are Not For Me. And so I'm sharing this first panel here, and you can see Three Cats Are Not For Me. And the second one, one day 3 cats came to my house. I said, go away. So I think we have a couple more anxiety cartoons. So these were just a couple ones I wanted to share, and a couple of things that I have done, similar exercises that we'll go through today and translated in this way. So like you can tell, there's either one or two choices. I made this, I think, suffering from Zoom fatigue quite some time ago. So you either can have absolute silence, or you have just like endless Zoom happy hours, which was pretty overwhelming. The next cartoon that I wanted to share, just how becoming an adult with too many responsibilities stole Christmas, kind of a riff on the Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So I think just like a couple of these things both came from a place of feeling very anxious about just what was going on either in the world or in my life, and translated through here. I know I saw that in the chat creatively said you're going to want to have a pencil and paper for today's session. So if you don't have that, make sure you grab that. Anything you feel comfortable writing or drawing with. And then just, before we get started, I want to learn a bit about all of you all. So I have a couple poll questions as you're kind of getting your art materials prepped for class. The first one, I wanted to just know how everyone's feeling today. I know it's December 2020. We're almost done with the year. So how's everyone feeling? Just pick the emoji that best suits you. I can kind of see, I don't know if everyone can see it happening at once, but it looks like we've got quite a mix. I'm going to end the poll. Maybe that shares it. I'm new to Zoom, so I apologize for any issues here. So it looks like, perfect. So it looks like most people have kind of a straight face, which I relate to that. We're going to do one more poll here, just kind of to get a feel. What is everyone's kind of experience level with drawing? There's no experience needed for this class, and I don't have a ton of experience myself, even though I've been drawing a lot. That's something I'm always cognizant of. So just kind of curious where everyone is. Pick the one that resonates most with you. Okay, we kind of can see those results. So new to drawing, but always curious, a prolific doodler, and I can't remember the last time I drew. All of those are great in some art school or artists as well. I'm going to stop sharing those polls. And we'll get started, I think, with the first exercise here. So just like as we'll do a few exercises in today's session, some of them build upon each other. And I think additionally, we'll do kind of some Q&A throughout and then additional Q&A at the end. And then also I may ask if folks are interested in sharing. So just if there's something that you're thinking you want to share, I'd love to see kind of what everyone is doing throughout the class. So the first thing that we're going to do is similar to the kind of the poll question, how are you feeling today? So writing a list of all of our feelings, emotions, and things that are top of mind. The first thing I do before drawing anything, and it's just like a regular part of my practice, is to list like very specifically how I feel and try and go a level deeper than just feeling like bad or fearful, like what kind of is provoking those feelings. Am I homesick? Am I worried about something? Or even kind of the physical way some of that manifests. And I'm not going to ask anyone to share this exercise in particular because I know it's pretty personal, but I just find that in looking at kind of the things that are really close to you and trying to translate it, it becomes easier to try and find like where a jumping off point might be for processing it in cartoons or writing. So we're going to take just 2 minutes to do it here. And I did include this little emotion wheel. I hope that you can see it. If not, I would look one up online. If you're having trouble or feeling stuck with like what you might be feeling. So I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes. And if you have any questions during this exercise or throughout the other exercises, just add them to the chat and we can make sure that they're resolved. I find that like a lot of times, you know, like it's easy to say that you're anxious, but kind of pushing to where that might be coming from is a good way. Okay, let's see if any questions are happening. I see there's another Michigander on the call. Another minute or so for this one. This is something I also do first thing. I like to draw in the morning. I find that's when I'm most productive. And so this will be kind of the first thing I do as I'm having my coffee, waking up before work. Okay, we've got a question. How many feelings are too many feelings to list out? I think I would go as far as you can go. I think that something that I'll say throughout today's session, and I've noticed within my practice, is kind of the things that you're doing to start. Like sometimes they evolve or push you to think of different things or different ways that it's manifesting. So keep writing if you still have more things to write. Okay, so we're at time here. And like I said, I'm not going to ask anyone to share on this one, but we'll kind of build upon these today. I think that just kind of setting the groundwork of who you are in that day, and also if this is something that you're doing daily or weekly, you kind of can see how you change or different things that are top of mind. And then I really like to kind of riff on the things that I'm really feeling in that day or really thinking about, because it just is a little bit easier and more rewarding to myself to continue to kind of tap into those feelings. And I find that it helps me translate it and maybe understand more of why I'm feeling that way. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to do is a bit more engaging, and I'll ask folks to share at the end of this one. This is really fun. So this one is a Scribble exercise. It's a modified exercise from Ivan Bernetti. And I have the cover of his cartooning book here. I find that if you're interested and new to cartooning or drawing, that this is kind of a really great resource to have on hand. So highly recommend picking up this book. Okay, so to get started here, and if creatively you don't mind going to the next slide. Okay, so here what we're going to do is divide your paper into 4 boxes. You either could fold it into quarters or just draw the different boxes. And I want you to draw a really quick scribble in each box. You can see there that each scribble I kind of have on this paper is a little bit distinct from the others. I think that's important, but don't worry too much about anything else. We'll kind of be working on these scribbles as we go through. So I just saw a question asking if I was thirsty. I was going to see if anyone else had questions. Yes, this is so much talking. I'm not used to this, but I appreciate everyone kind of being here with me. So the next part of this exercise after drawing those scribbles is we're going to take a minute on each box and you're going to kind of give them life. So you can model them into people, animals, aliens, monsters, anything that suits you, and something that I try and just keep it within the lens that somebody could be communicating or talking something. So I'm going to start the timer for 4 minutes and spend a minute on each scribble. Additionally, the other thing, I'll start the timer now, but the other thing, you want to keep adding more and more detail to each of these scribbles. So keep moving your pen, add additional things for the entire minute, kind of drawing without stopping. And then if you have any questions as we start this, just keep adding them into the chat, and I'll kind of try and answer them, monitor them throughout here. Okay, so finishing up kind of that first box here in 10 seconds or so. Move to the next box. So I would move to your second box and keep drawing. And then I think if there's any questions that people have or that are thinking of things that you want answered, just keep adding them into the Q&A. Okay, move on to that third box. I think in terms of the previous exercise, somebody had asked, how do you pick a min or max? And I kind of, similarly to the other question, just keep writing as much stuff as you can. And then I think move on to the fourth box there. And so you should be kind of finishing up, and I know it might seem like you're done drawing things. I encourage you to keep adding more and more detail and see kind of where it evolves from there. We got a question, when did you start drawing your anxieties? I'm going to answer that one now. I think that it was something that I started so long ago. I mean, but I don't think I always shared different things I drew, but as, a kid, drawing doodles on my homework, drawing different concerns, drawing comics as a kid. I think that was a way my anxiety manifesting when I was much younger, and be trying to translate it. Okay, so I think we have 30 more seconds here. Yeah, creatively, why don't we move to the next slide here, and I'll just kind of pull this up as you're finishing up your sketches. So this is, I kind of did this exercise earlier. So this is kind of where some of my sketches evolved from, and you can see that there's a bit of detail there, but 4 sketches from the initial scribbles. Okay, and we're at time. So let's do the second part of this exercise. If you don't mind moving to the next slide creatively. Okay, so this is, get out a blank sheet of paper, and I want you to write or complete the following prompts here. So add something you have to do, a line you have memorized from a song, TV show, or movie, a question you have been wondering about, and a verse from a holiday song. So we'll take the next 2 minutes or so, and I want you to complete these prompts. Hopefully, don't think too hard on anything. I think kind of just picking whatever the first thing is that comes to mind will be the best. Okay, we've got a question. With words or with scribbles, you're going to want to write just this down. And I would do it on a separate piece of paper, and then we'll kind of connect them to the scribbles after you're done writing them. Take another minute or so to complete those. So another question in the chat, it looks like I feel like I have a lot of funny thoughts or scenes, but my drawing is abysmal and stops me from exploring further. Would one in this discipline ever work with a partner? I think there's 2 ways I would think of answering that. You definitely can partner up with somebody else. I've partnered with people who I really feel like I closely resonate with, or have we share some of the same anxieties or maybe thoughts. And the other thing I would encourage is drawing is something that I think a lot of people who draw are self-conscious of, and I would try and just let yourself be easy on yourself in drawing. And a lot of times I'll see things that other people draw, and I'm like, that is amazing. I love that style. I wish I could do something like that. But I think kind of just continuing to draw, you can translate kind of what you're doing. And it's always to be more gracious with yourself, because I think we are harder on ourselves than other people's drawings. Okay, so that is time on this prompt. So the last part of this exercise you're going to do is you're going to assign prompts to your scribbles that you have. So give them each kind of a speech bubble, make them talk, give them a thought bubble. And you can kind of see in here, I have, poured myself a cup of ambition. I've got a little caterpillar-y type doodle, maybe millipede. Sir, I want to buy these shoes. That was that Christmas song that is just, always stuck in my head, I guess, during the season. A question, what should I make for dinner? And then something that I'm trying to do, call mom, or I guess I have to do, so call mom. And I think where I find that I really like this part of the exercise, or this activity specifically, is you're kind of tapping into things that are already top of mind, and you're drawing in a way that doesn't necessarily constrain you and might give you other ways to explore in your drawing or doodling. I think that kind of just allowing yourself to not be bound to something and have kind of a specific amount of time to work on it, and then connecting random prompts to your drawings is a way to kind of expand on your creativity and add it to your practice. For this exercise, though, I'm going to go to the attendees section. If anyone is interested in sharing, I would love to see kind of what anyone else has. I know sharing can be kind of daunting, but also fun. Okay, I think I have a raised hand. I'm going to, Ava, I'm going to say, oops, maybe that disappeared. Hi, are you sharing? Oh, okay.
I have a little, I'm also the other Michigander.
Oh, perfect. Oh, hi, there you are.
Hi.
So
I heard
fun
your
to
accent.
see
I was
someone.
like, oh my God, someone noticed it. I didn't get to finish labeling my last little one, but I really, I got kind of fun in my materials.
Oh my gosh.
Turned into a puppy and it looked a little bit like my dog. And my question I was wondering was, can she understand it? Can she understand me? So it says, Mom, can you understand me? This one,
Oh my gosh.
a tornado, and it says, you better watch out, but it's really like from this, you better watch out, you better not cry. Which had that one, and this one says, pay your bills, bitch. I have to pay it.
Oh my God.
And then I don't really know what his is. I wrote down a whole bunch of song lyrics. So we'll figure out what goes with my little snail. But that was a fun activity, and I felt like sharing.
Oh my God, I love this. I love the dog so much. And I love the way it looks without kind of all the lines, but just hinting at it. Thank you for sharing.
All right, I will go.
Great. So I think there'll be more opportunities to share unless anyone else wants to share now. I'm looking through the hands.
Hey, Sarah, we have Alondra, who's also on, who we've asked to join us.
Okay.
See if we can get it to unmute.
Hi.
See if we
Hi.
can get your video going now. There we go. Just take a second. And Alondra, you should be prompted to start your video when you can. And just unmute when you can. I think we prompted that too. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Hi. Yeah, I'm sorry. So I just recently joined. I'm just trying to catch up.
Oh, no problem. We were just, apologies. Your hand was like raised and it joined as a participant.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No, I didn't mean to. I think I hit it accidentally.
No problem. You can join us in the next one and you can raise your hand and we'd be happy to show your doodle.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. So I think we can move on to the next exercise then. Like I said, I think I modified this one somewhat from Ivan Bernetti's cartooning book. And I think if there's things you also modify or take and pick and apply into your practice, that is a good way to do it. So the next exercise we're going to do is a bit longer, and it kind of builds upon the first one that we had done. And it is a modified exercise from Linda Berry's Making Comics book, which this is also if you're kind of new to either writing, cartooning, or drawing and want to have different exercises you can do to kind of explore that. I really, really like this book. It's one of my favorites. She also has one that's more writing focused on what it is, and but both are great. Okay, so you're going to want to go to either a new page or start a blank page for this. If we can go to the next slide, perfect. So divide, you can see I kind of have this visualized here, but divide your paper into thirds and categorize each block as did, saw, and felt. We're going to take about 8 minutes-ish here to kind of complete this. And you're going to add 5-ish things. I think if you have a few, like a couple less in some column, that's okay, throughout here. And just kind of complete things that over the last 24 hours you either did, you saw, or the feelings part. And I think the feelings part, it's the first exercise we did, you could kind of pull down some of those feelings and add them in down there. If you wanted to expand upon them at all, I think that also would be good. Kind of up to you here. And the only thing that I think is helpful, as we'll kind of take these and do a second part of this exercise with this, is to be as specific as you possibly can. So that's why I kind of aim for trying thinking about within 24 hours. But if I found, like, I know it's, a snowstorm outside or a pandemic and we've maybe been leaving our homes less, you could kind of expand out if there was something that you recently saw or did and wanted to capture. So, like, for example, instead of just being, like, for me, it was like, okay, I online shopped, but more so than online shopping, I was looking at something very specifically for my niece that I was trying to get her for Christmas, and like write down more specifically what it was, just for a reference. And so I think with that, I'm going to start the time soon. So you can get started. I'm just going to set about 8 minutes on. And I think that's it. You can kind of see mine as a reference. Those are things that I did, saw, and felt. I probably did this yesterday morning, so fairly recently. If you have any questions, you can drop them into the chat. I'm monitoring both the chat and the Q&A portal. If you had any questions you wanted to put in the other portal. Yeah. So I've got the example up here for this exercise we're doing. And this is kind of my result on this page from kind of writing these things up to see. So just reference them as you might need to. So there's a question, should the columns align what I did and then what I saw? Or are they unrelated? That's a great question. It doesn't necessarily matter, but I think if you found it practical for something you were thinking of, or a helpful way of translating kind of the things you were recording, that seems very natural to do. I think also just with kind of that feelings columns, if there's things that evoked like more feelings or things you wanted to pull from once you were kind of writing those did and saw, I think it is helpful to kind of have those somewhat relevant, I find. Or maybe resulting of, I guess, consequential maybe. So we're about 2.5 minutes in. So make sure, I would say that it's probably time to move on to either the next column if you haven't already gotten there, or finish up on that did. So we're another 2 minutes through. So start finishing up kind of the saw column you have there, the did and saw, and pull kind of some of the items from the first exercise and bring them down to that felt. So another question that came through, what advice would you give to young creatives who are just starting out? I think that's a great question. Some days I still feel like I'm just starting out and maybe I'm less starting out than I once was, but I think part of it is you have to just start. It's helpful to kind of, continue to practice something, to commit to something, and to continue to work at it. And then I think also there's a lot that happens that might seem unencouraging, that might seem disappointing. There's a lot of rejection that happens with anything in life, but also in particular creative fields and cartooning or writing. And I think just trying to disconnect that maybe, maybe if the opportunity wasn't right for the things you were looking at, that it doesn't mean it's not right for something and it's not valuable. I think when I first started, I had a hard time recognizing that not all rejection was not personal. Yeah. Okay, so we'll take another, I think I am giving less than 8 minutes for this exercise, but if people are finding that they still are needing more time, we can keep going. But maybe taking another 20 seconds, another 20 or 30 seconds here. Okay, let's move on to the second part of this exercise, or I think it's part 2, part A. So I hope that you have a lot of detail there. What I kind of want you to do now is, for the next part of the exercise, we'll be writing in more detail about something and drawing specifically about that. So review your lists, the did, saw, and felt, and pick one item from that list that you want to dive deeper on. I picked, this was recent, so I picked a bar that looked too crowded even in before COVID times. So that was what I kind of picked for the second part, and something that I was like, there seems like there's enough detail here that I remember. It happened recently. There doesn't have to be like a lot that happened. I think you'll notice that most of the ones I have here are pretty mundane. Everything maybe, a rabbit bolted past the front steps. But I think part of it is you kind of have to figure out what is happening in the mundane moments. And like that is what happens most of, especially a lot of the pandemic has been pretty, there's been just like some very mundane things in our day-to-days. And trying to find ways to go deeper on it or further think about it. So pick one of the things that you want to go deeper on. And if you don't mind going to the next slide creatively. So what we're going to do is take a new blank sheet of paper and either fold it in half, hamburger style, or draw a box on the top half and leave kind of the bottom part blank. So this will kind of be our, I guess, bounding constraints for the remaining part of the exercise here. So what you're going to do, if you don't mind going one more slide further creatively, you're going to write about the scene you picked from your list in present tense. So we're going to take 5 minutes to do this, and as in some of the other exercises, I've been more flexible, but for this, I think it's important to take the entire time to complete it. I find that even if something is more mundane, the more time I spend going over and writing everything in further detail, the more that maybe my initial thoughts on something transforms, or what I was really thinking about transforms, or I find another idea I want to go further in on. So we're going to take all 5 minutes. I'm going to start it now. I might talk throughout or look at some of these questions to see what questions are coming in. But just writing this part out right now, and everything should be in the present tense as if it's happening now. So like, I am walking down the street, like things, it might seem awkward the way it's phrased in writing, but it's important to just think about how you would say what you were doing in the active moment. Additionally, if you're thinking other things you're feeling as you write, that's helpful to capture, like if you felt something at a certain point when it happened. Yeah, I'll let you guys write here. Oh, so there was a question, what column should we pick from? Any? I think you can pick either from your did or saw column, just something that's specifically active. If there was something that did evoke feeling, or that you think did, like sometimes I instinctively will pick that because it's fun to explore, but there's no need for that. So there was a question, do you find structured exercises like this most helpful for getting started in drawing, or do you continue to use them in your ongoing practice? So every morning, the answer is yes, I continue to use all of these. And a lot of times, what happens so often is you have no ideas, or you feel like you have no ideas, or you feel blocked, or you just feel like you'll never be able to translate something again. Those are thoughts I have so often. But what is so helpful is to kind of be able to pull from things that you like doing and start your day with it. So that scribble exercise is like a 6-minute exercise, and that's it. So I'll do that maybe as a drawing warm-up some days. Some days I don't want to draw, and it takes something like that to kind of remember that there's enjoyable parts, things that are fun, and could maybe get different ideas flowing. And this exercise specifically, I'll do often to kind of think about things, especially when it feels like there's nothing to write or draw about, or there's only been mundane things happening. I'll kind of take something and explore it much deeper and see if there's maybe something I could make a longer comic about, or something that maybe a short comic, a single panel one. So we've got about a minute left here. If you're feeling like you have nothing more to write, think about the things that happened before or after the scene and add them in. And think about what maybe you were doing or feeling, or if anyone else in the background or scene was there that you could record. Okay, so that's time there. I hope you have kind of a lot of detail there. If not, it's okay. It's a learning experience where you can kind of modify it to fit your practice. We're going to do the second part of this exercise, though. We'll start to kind of translate in a drawing what we were seeing. So in the top box that you kind of left space for, draw the scene and draw for 5 minutes without stopping. You're going to want to draw kind of an active scene. I would include speech bubbles if there was anything that was being said. If there was detail in the background, I would include it. Just think like continue to draw the details. Oftentimes what I'll do is I'll start from, if there's people, I'll start kind of there, and then I'll continue to add more and more during the time. I know 5 minutes doesn't seem like a lot, but it really can be a lot. So I'm going to hit start on the time, and I'll keep you updated as we go throughout. Are there any questions on what we are doing right now? If so, add them into the chat and we'll make sure we're all on the same page here. And I know like you likely have enough text on your page or something that is in pretty detail that you wrote about. And so to take that, it might feel like you have multiple scenes there. I think just pick whatever is either the most active or in describing there. Okay, so what if your observations were about something that was more internal than external? I think that is a great question, and also something that can be so common into how we're feeling. So I would draw however you're kind of thinking through it. I mean, there's about 3 minutes left, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So draw in a way that you can portray it. If you want to give your internalized feelings like something physical to describe them, or there's something physical about the way they are, then you could kind of translate them that way. If it's like can be manifested there. So continue drawing the detail there and adding in things in the background, things around the scene that you're seeing. I also wouldn't worry too much, both in drawing and in drawing here, on kind of getting all the perspectives right or getting everything accurate. I think what is fun about this activity is it's difficult in general to remember things as accurately as they happen. And so it kind of gives you some flexibility to play with different things in the scenery to maybe change something if you wanted to. Really, there are no rules for this exercise. And then I'll see if folks want to share once we're kind of done with time. So if you're interested in that, I think you could kind of raise your hand feature, and we can just see, if you're interested in sharing. About a minute and 30 seconds left, so keep adding those details. There was a question that came in, how do you find inspiration to be creative in the mundane moments? I think that doing kind of these exercises is how I do that, because it's much easier to think of something if you are, opening up some sort of exercise that you're going to start. If you are doing prompts, a lot of times I'll take other classes to see, if there's any other things I can add into my creative regiment. There's other classes that Creatively has been doing, which are great. I don't think it necessarily has to be drawing or writing specific. I think there's a lot of creative things across the board that you can kind of get inspiration from. Got about 10 seconds left, so start finishing up those details. Okay, so that is time for that exercise. So should we, maybe let's move to the next slide and I'll share mine to start here. So this is something I had picked, kind of that bar scene I saw, like I said, kind of, a very intimate, warm bar that just had so many people in it for COVID and nobody was wearing a mask. And so I started to kind of write about this because it was really memorable. And you can see some of my text there. So I'm walking, I spot this bar. We're kind of confused by what's happening. I'm with my roommate here, Jamie. And I think what I had started to realize as I was writing this is I was like, oh, so disturbed to see this thing happening. And there's this whole thing that happens also internally where it's like, is what I'm doing right now, okay, or is it too extreme? What is like the right thing I should be doing? There's a lot of guilt and anxiety in just seeing people are going out. And so what I was translating in this specifically was we were going to meet a couple friends for an outdoor drink. And it's like I'm going on like I'm not sure about it, and then you kind of see people and you're judgmental. So I think this is something that I was like, okay, there's something here I could explore and make into a longer cartoon. And I think there's something on that kind of internalized clash on like, what should or shouldn't I do? What is too much? That, kind of helped me think about this more deeply. And so this is something I might take and do kind of a longer form comic or cartoon with. But we've got a couple people who want to share, which is great. So, and if you are interested in sharing, I think raise your hand. So can we share? Okay, we've got Kathy. And maybe just kind of for sharing, walk through, you don't have to read your entire thing if you don't want to, it's kind of up to you, but share kind of what the scene was and what you were drawing. I'd be interested to see.
Okay, can we see me? Yeah.
Kathy, yes.
So I did this, and I was probably backwards, but so what happened to me today was through work, I got an Oculus VR headset, like a work gift. So I tried it on today and I played it and it's really fun. But when I was done, I had a huge line across my forehead, like very thick and very obvious. So this is me seeing myself in the mirror.
Oh my gosh.
And saying, is this forever?
Oh my gosh.
Then also,
I love that.
My phone was dead and my charger is in the basement. I was like, I can't go in the basement because my dad's there and I can't let him see me like this because I don't want to get made fun of.
Life with a VR headset, I guess.
Yeah, it's goofy.
I love the detail in your illustration. It looks awesome. Are we pulling? Oh, cool. Yeah. Rachel?
Sorry, takes a minute.
Okay. Am I showing up?
Rachel.
You good?
Yes.
I have no idea. There we go. So my roommate and I were lighting Hanukkah candles just before this.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm using a new to me family heirloom Hanukkah this year that needs slightly different sized candles. So I bought like custom beeswax candles, but they are a little too big. So you can see that my candles are just a little large.
Oh
And
my gosh, it's so
beeswax
cute
is
though.
melting everywhere. So that's the pile of beeswax that we've picked off of
Oh my gosh.
over the course of this week, because tonight was night 7, and the pile
Oh
of
my gosh.
just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, you'll have to make another candle with all the beeswax.
It's so much. We need to figure out a craft project or something.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
So, mine is I just moved to New York City and I'm freaking out. That's
Oh my gosh.
Like I moved here from South Florida during the pandemic and to pursue a career in photography. And I haven't been
Oh my
shooting
gosh.
and I haven't been making my phone calls, like cold calling. And and I'm like beating myself up like every day, about my work like not being good enough, and it's just really a sad experience.
Oh my gosh.
And so I wrote about it here, and that's my camera that's like under like lock and key.
I love that. I love how you portrayed kind of the camera locked and then the cold call, the actual phone, those little guys at the top.
Yeah, those are the pandemic people. And then, at the bottom, I was just reading this quote about closing the gap, like how when you're first starting out in a creative field, there's like this gap between like your current work and where you really want to be. And you just have to like plow through it. So that's what that is.
Oh yeah, I love that. That's so relatable. Yeah, it's hard. And I think imposter syndrome is so hard. And I know that so many people feel it. Thank you for sharing that. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Getting another one ready.
Cool.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I have a 1-year-old, and she recently learned how to stand yesterday by herself.
Oh my gosh.
Because the last time she did, we yelled out of joy, and she got nervous, so she stopped standing for a week, or like a few.
Oh
weeks.
my God.
So that's my daughter in motion, standing and speaking, and then that's me like rooting her on just quietly. And that's just her room, like closet doors and stuff. And then this is like the perspective I wrote in the perspective of her as a baby, like what she's thinking, like my dad's looking at me, but he's not making any noise. Is this okay, or am I gonna get in trouble? Realizing that we weren't yelling at her, we were just like really happy. So
Oh my God, I love that so much. And I love the perspective of it being from her as she's standing and what's going on. And I think the way you drew movement is really cool. I love that. You should make that into a longer cartoon. That's awesome.
yeah, I'll try.
I want to see it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. Congrats to her for her first steps.
Oh, hello.
Hi. I think I can see you. Yeah.
Okay. I've never done this before. Weird. So this is mine. The thing I did, I was talking about how I've eaten chili for the 4th time in a row this week because I made it and I like made it from scratch and I slaved over it and I fed it to my family and they're like over it, but I don't want to waste it because I worked really hard on it. So I was just thinking about how like, oh, I'll probably like be crying tears of cumin by the end of the week, but this is me eating it again, and then my husband and my kid going out to like eat really fun things, and
Oh
him
my gosh.
like the best dad, and me being just like a boring practical mom.
I love that. Yeah, tears of cumin.
Yeah, I can't draw people,
Yeah.
right, but I'm working on it.
Oh, I love it. No, I love the people. They all have kind of cool personalities there. It's coming together.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. Is there any others? Great. Okay.
Start my video. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, there we go. So I actually put a question because everybody who went before me is making me really embarrassed to show my stuff. What do you do when you literally can't draw anything?
Oh my gosh, no, I don't think that's true here. I don't think that's ever true. But I do recognize as somebody who's similarly been very self-conscious about not being able to draw. Like I've definitely felt that feeling so recently. I think continuing to draw and doodle and find things that you like. I mean, it's like I think the other really cool thing with drawing is even if it's like, okay, maybe I'm self-conscious on what I have, other people are always like love kind of just the different ways that people can like translate with a pen. And then also translating what's going on. Like here, you know, like I think that's a messy bed, yeah, and you have some like a night light next to you and you're getting out of bed and you kind of can see those things. So it's really cool, I think, and it still is something that you're translating what you're saying. Yeah. I love it. So tell us what's going on here.
So this is my dog sleeping because I had to wake up and take her to the vet this morning, but it was like minus 15 degrees Celsius and I knew it was going to be cold.
Oh
and I
my
had barely
gosh.
had any sleep. And so I was like snoozing and snoozing and snoozing. And then I was like, crap, I have to get up. So I actually kept my PJs on. And this is me putting my bra on top of my PJ top.
Oh my gosh.
And then I put like regular clothes on top of all of that.
Oh my God, what a morning. I love the dog. I hope your dog's okay.
Oh, she's fine. She just had to get a checkup, but
good.
That's what I
Yeah,
did.
it's precious. I really love it. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got one last show and tell.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so this is my drawing. And I am in landscape design, and we just submitted our final designs today. But
Oh my
our
gosh.
teacher told us to only peer review 2 people. So I wasn't seeing everyone's work like we regularly would if we weren't in COVID. So me and all my friends emailed back and forth, and we're like, send us your PDFs, send us your videos. I want to see all your work. So I was really inspired, and like there's me sitting at my desk like counting down the days on my calendar, and then all of my friends with their different design ideas. And I was just like really overwhelmed and proud that I get to be surrounded by such like creative women, and like not only in like my profession, but like in my personal life. Like these are all my friends. So
Oh, that's so great. I love
there's
that.
just
Yeah, I
been-
love that they're all portrayed in there too.
Yeah.
You're
So like
sending
we
it
have
in.
one of them did like a dance design, the other one did a golden ratio, and one of them did like a dark forest with like a hammock. So I
Wow.
thought it was really creative, and it's kind of like
Oh,
sharing
that's so
like what we're all
cool.
doing right now. So
I love it. Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
congrats on, I guess, the final of the design.
thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so thank you all for sharing. I think what we're going to do now before closing is a little more Q&A. And then I guess to close on the last exercise, I know I probably have talked through this as doing it, but I just finding something that you can modify a little bit, but that you enjoy doing and will do regular enough into your practice is something I find enjoyable and then also kind of rewarding as it goes through. Okay, I'm going to look through some of these Q&As coming, and if you have any, add them to the Q&A chat bubble here. Let's see. So one of the questions, what if you get bogged down in the writing? How do you keep it simple but detailed? Oh, this was in reference to the last exercise. I'm sorry, I missed this. My writing tends to be long-winded, which doesn't translate well into cartoons. I also am pretty long-winded, also conversationally and in writing. And so what I try and do is I'll generally, when I start to translate, like if I had taken this comic, and what I might do is like take this comic and make smaller single panels and either draw specifically what I'm thinking might happen, or the other way I'll do it is I'll kind of create a list, like a numbered list, and be like, just kind of write my story as it goes through. And then I try not to get too caught up at that point on the writing, because I know it will change a lot as I continue to kind of work through the comic, and as I start to draw things and realize maybe not everything is clear. Is just kind of seeing like what you could remove and have it still make sense. So if there's different words that I could remove, different descriptors that maybe don't need to be there, or if a sentence is confusing. A lot of times if I'm submitting the cartoon to an editor somewhere, I would check it with kind of somebody else who hasn't seen any of the work and it's new to see if they're understanding it and seeing where they might miss something. See what else we have here. A couple more questions here. Okay, so one of the questions, how do you develop a consistent style? My mom and I are always joking, but kind of serious about making a comic about my dog. She already kind of looks like a cartoon, but I can't seem to draw her the same way every time. That's a great question. I think the easiest way to develop a consistent style is to draw the same thing several times. So it seems like you're on your way. I think about that in a lot of the things that I draw, but I realize the more frequently I draw them, and then also the more frequently, yeah, I guess I lost my train of thought, but anything you draw more frequently will become more familiar with your hand and kind of the way that you're portraying it. Let's see. Okay, so when you submit cartoons to publications, do they give you notes on the imagery or edits about the copy? I have no idea how this works. I too had no idea how this worked until I had submitted enough things and either gotten kind of straight rejection, which would just be, like kind of a generic email. And then eventually, I think as some of my storylines started to maybe improve or become more coherent and understandable, I made my way and I got a kind of like a polite rejection, which would be like, no, but I did kind of like this, and maybe had some reasoning why. And so kind of taking that into consideration, generally, if it's accepted somewhere, there will be notes on editing the copy or maybe some of the images from the editor. But that usually when you pitch something, you can kind of pitch it knowing that some things will change. We're going to do a couple more questions maybe here, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, can you recommend some other websites, challenges, books, etc., that have similar activities we can do on our own? So the two books that I recommended, the Linda Berry Making Comics book and the Ivan Bernetti cartooning book. There's also a book by Betty Edwards. She has a recent one, Drawing on the Dominant Eye. I think like a lot of those books I really like because they have just like you can kind of pick it up and do something when you want to and then set it down. You don't have to like read the entire thing or work your way through it. Some other areas though that I find really helpful, like Creatively has other classes that you can take. Other cartoonists a lot of times will do classes, other writers. There's a lot of classes on Catapult that I've looked at. Just different areas that like other writers will teach these classes. And I think taking kind of those regularly, you start to learn how other people do things. And it's something that maybe you could pull some things and add to your practice or modify a little bit. So the two books just that I recommended, again, I see another question there. So Linda Berry's Making Comics and Ivan Bernetti's cartooning book. Okay, so the last question I think I'll answer here. So when it comes to creating, do you wait for inspiration or do you look for it? What advice do you give to creatives that struggle to create? When I first started, I think I would kind of wait for inspiration, and then I would get frustrated and really sad and think I would never have any other ideas. It would feel like there was not a lot of progress at the speed I wanted it to be, and I would just get really frustrated. And so what I had found is that if I would start spending like regular blocks of my time, I'm very like I don't want to say goal oriented, but I'm very like regimented in the schedule. I like doing the same thing. I don't like surprises. But if I kind of incorporated that first thing into my morning when I was waking up for an hour, and I would just always draw something, even if it was something I didn't know if I would do something with. I found that through like that sort of practice, I would get a lot more ideas or things that I could maybe expand into other ideas. And then even if I didn't, at least I always felt like I was improving in some way, either in drawing or just kind of having kind of this regular thing that I could do. So that would be, my advice would be to not wait for inspiration, and to kind of either do different exercises from other books, to do kind of consistent things once a day or once a week, whatever you're kind of interested in doing. Because that tends to be where I found that most of my ideas or things that I wanted to explore further came from. Okay, last question here. I think I meant to say this, but probably missed it. What do you use to draw and what are my favorite tools? So I use this, I'll use either my trusty iPad and pencil or a graphic 90G sketch pad of paper. And it's no specific reason to the paper. It's just very similar to printer paper, which is why I like it. And then I also use a permanent marker when I write because I kind of like not being able to get too disappointed when I mess up. I find that you can't really do anything too well in a permanent marker quickly. So thank you all though for joining us in today's session. I know it was kind of a lot and there was a lot happening. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone for sharing. I had a lot of fun and I hope you enjoyed it too. So thanks for taking this Creatively class on drawing your anxieties. I'm Sarah Kempa. You can follow me at Aunt Sarah Draws. I would love to hear from you. And if with any of your drawings or things you did today, feel free to tag at Hello Creatively with your cartoons. And then you can also hashtag Creatively Classes. Stay safe, especially if you're in New York, about to experience a snowstorm. And thank you all so much.